What do you do when you can't play guitar, but your students still want to learn from you? Well, a couple of weeks ago, I crashed my mountain bike very hard. 8 broken ribs, collapsed lung, couple of days in the ICU. Playing guitar, not happening for a while. But I didn't want to disappear. So I asked my Patreon family, what could I do while I'm recovering? Oh, and by the way, if you have any ideas, drop them in the comments because I'd love to hear about it. Anyways, one message really stuck with me. Helen Brown wrote, "I'm fascinated by how you always produce such accurate renditions of songs. Any insight into that process would be welcome, though I understand it might be tricky without a guitar." Well, honestly, I thought, yeah, I can talk about that. So a couple of nights ago, I took a walk, and here's what came out. What does it take to learn a piece well? It starts with having a strong mental picture of the song. The more clearly you can hear every detail in your head, the more clearly those details come out in your playing. Now, the simple answer would be just match the notes and fingerings to what you hear in your mind. But there's more to it than that, I think. The key is in how you categorize what you play. If you can group things, say, as a melody line, a chord shape, or a pattern, you're using less brain power to recall the what, which frees you up to focus on how you play it. Let me give you an example. Imagine you have to play 7 notes. Now, those 7 notes can be played in all kinds of places across the fretboard. But if you haven't done the groundwork, like knowing your scales or your scale patterns, then you're learning each note individually. That is a long and painful process. This is where prep work matters. Practicing scales, learning your fretboard, understanding different positions and fingerings. The better you know the guitar, the faster you can learn new material. That said, it's not impossible if you haven't done all that prep. It just takes longer. Now, next comes the actual learning part. A lot of students try to tackle a lot of bars at once. Why? Probably because they want that satisfying moment of, I can hear the whole song or I can play the whole thing. But if you're struggling through a big chunk of music that doesn't sound great yet, it's not fun at all. It's demotivating. So what do I do instead? Well, I chop it up. Small motifs, phrases, grooves, tiny sections. I work on one piece until it sounds really good. Does that mean I put every nuance in right away? Maybe not. But it has to be rhythmically accurate. The notes have to be right. And I try to stick to a consistent fingering if I can. If it changes every time, you're basically inviting mistakes. Ideally, I also see the shape of the chord under what I'm playing. It creates a visual anchor. Then there is the question of which songs to choose. Now, ideally, a song has to stretch you a little bit, right? But not too much. If it's way beyond where you're at this point, you'll probably just get discouraged. Most importantly, you have to love the song, not because it's hard, but because it moves you, because it makes you want to pick up the guitar. Once you've learned the phrases, I start gluing them together. Motifs become sections. Sections become the song. And here's the part a lot of people forget. Once you've learned a song, you have to keep it in your repertoire. Why? Because the more times you revisit a piece, the more deeply you internalize everything it taught you. It moves from short-term memory to mid-term to long-term. And long-term memory is where the real musical freedom lives. Another big factor is how you learn. Are you learning from tabs? Are you transcribing by ear? Now, I'm not against tabs or sheet music at all, but it's a different kind of learning. When you transcribe something yourself, it forces you to slow down. You listen more. You absorb more. You own the melody. With tabs, it's easier to play the right notes, but not actually know the music. So there is prep, the mental image, chunk it small, play it right, learn songs you love, keep them alive, and whenever you can, listen first, then play. If this helped, let me know. And if you have other ways to learning songs or ideas or what I should talk about while I heal, drop them in the comments below. Thank you for listening.